Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Barcast TV and to another episode of Barcast Daily. It is May 25th, 2023. We've got another great match between some high-level players, so let's go ahead and get into the replay. Just want to say thanks for all of you who have been leaving comments on the channel. Really helps me improve and know what to focus on, so thank you for that. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button for me. Really appreciate that, and look forward to making some more videos for y'all in the future. So thank you for those of you who have subbed to the channel. Appreciate that. And let's go ahead and get into the replay. So I'll introduce our players. Spawning in the top right side of the map, playing as the blue pieces, it's PTAC. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left hand corner of the map, playing as the red pieces, it's Thurxie. So great players. Definitely some well-known players if y'all have been playing Bar for any amount of time. Really high up in the leaderboards here. I would say Thurxie is a little bit above this skill level for sure. He's sitting at 32 true skill, but definitely want to say he's a little bit above that. So you can take a look at these opening build orders. Looks like Thurxie's gone for 2 metal extractors into 3 wind turbines into vehicle plant. Meanwhile, PTAC it's gone for the 2 metal extractors, 4 wind turbines into bot lab here. So a little bit of a deviation. We can see PTAC choosing to go with the bot lab route. Not sure which is better on this map, and let's go ahead and introduce it. This is Sertalina, which is a pretty flat map, a little reminiscent of like a Comet Catcher or Red Comet. And there's some interesting high grounds here that bots can only traverse over. So could definitely use that to your advantage as the bot lab player. For those of you who don't know, bots can traverse across most any terrain on maps where vehicles are kind of reduced to some of those more traversable, flatter terrains rather. So you can see Thurxie's got one of these rovers out on the map. He's just taking a look around, trying to scout his opponent. I'm sure he's looking for what kind of factory he's produced. Is his commander still in the main base? And I know from experience playing bots versus vehicles can be a little technically challenging, especially if you really are trying to abuse the superior range of the grunt over the light tanks that we'll see from this vehicle factory player. And it looks like Thurxie has gone ahead and has 2 construction vehicles assisting this factory and is going to be expanding along the left side of the map with his commander. Whereas his opponent, PTAC, is still kind of sitting in the main base. He's adding on a LLT for now. Just has 1 construction bot assisting this factory. And don't see any additional build commands issued with this commander yet. So he's just sitting in the main base. Looks like he's finally moving more towards the center of the map. So we see a little bit of a deviation in there, both players' playstyles. Take a look at the statistics here. Both players dead even, sitting at about 1.1k mass produced so far, 3 minutes into the game. Not much of a deficit from either player so far. And got a little bit of a skirmish here in the middle of the map, and we can just see, how effective these blitzes are against the grunts. I think it takes about, 2.5 grunts to take out 1 blitz unmicroed. And of course, these players are going to be trying their best to find any advantage they can with unit positioning and build ranges, what have you. So looks like PTAC is kind of trying to use the superior range of this grunt to his advantage. Hasn't taken an engagement just yet. See, Thurxie is grouping up his tanks quite nicely here. He's got 1 single rover on the right side of the map, still looking for damage. Could get taken out by that LT, but pulls away just in time. So see Thurxie stepping forward, and he's got these tanks grouped up quite nicely here, so he's going to shave off a couple of grunts for trading 1 blitz for it. And meanwhile, in the middle of the map, PTAC's commander is adding on LLTs. He's got 1 central radar here, so a really nice position. He's got a lot of view of the board here. We just can see how small this map actually is. 1 radar covers nearly the whole map. So great job abusing that radar coverage here. Meanwhile, Thurxie continuing to expand up the left side of the map, so he's gone ahead and already capped some of these MXs, added on LLTs. And I want to say PTAC's in a little bit of a better position here, but he ends up losing a couple of these grunts, so you really got to abuse the range of these grunts here against these light tanks. They're so good at trading efficiently against these units. just finally loses one. So we have 4 blitzes here left over. They're going to end up catching this construction bot here, and that metal extractor ends up going down. So Xerxes pulling away. He's trying to regroup his units here. Like I was saying, I like PTAC's position though here. He's locking up the middle of the board a little quicker than his opponent here, so it's gonna make rotating around the map a little more difficult here. You can't really attack directly across the map. You got to find some way to kind of rotate around, so to speak, instead of engaging this commander sitting here in the middle of the map. But Xerxes got a really large standing army here. We see 9 blitzes, 1 rover, sharking around looking for damage. Not sure where he's going to find it next. Looks like he's moving towards the right side of the map. He's going to try and continue to deny these expansions here. Looks like PTAC has 1 grave robber out. He's just nearly res this construction bot, but I don't think Xerxes is going to give him enough time to res that. Looks like he cancels that build order here and is looking for additional damage. So PTAC scrambling to get more units on the field. He's got a lot of build power, adding on wind turbines for now. And that's going to be stalling his production for a bit. And this expansion's a little bit vulnerable. Looks like he issued a Control D command there. Tries to take out some of these blitzes here. Not sure if Xerxes recognized the potential of that happening and kind of moved away as that was being self-destructed. So great control. Looks like he took out a lot of the standing army here. We just have 1 grunt left over for PTAC, and we see 4 blitzes and 1 rover. Still moving around the map. We have a couple more reinforcements on the way. 3 blitzes. Xerxes trying to regroup his units here. Trying to find the next vulnerable position to attack. You can see just how many LLTs and radars are here in the center of the board, but excuse me, looks like PTAC is stalling for energy at the moment. Looks like this wind isn't cooperating. Finally, it's going back up. It's gonna power these LLTs for now. You don't want to be caught with unpowered LLTs in the center of the map because the wind is stalling. It's going to make you wish you added on some solar collectors earlier on in the game. And we see Xerxes moved on into stout production here, so it's going to do well against trading against these LLTs. We see just how effective these medium tanks are against the LLTs. Taking them out very quickly, just kind of tickling these high armored vehicles here. Well, 1 radar goes down, another turret's going to end up going down. And that's going to put PTAC in the dark for a little bit. We can take a look at his player view for now. We still have these light tanks in the back lines. Meanwhile, these 2 tanks are doing so much work. You know, it's shaving off these LLTs for now, taking out radars. And take a look at the player view of Xerxes. He's finally moved his commander into the middle of the board. He's got a nice radar position here in the middle of the map and several LLTs protecting his nexus. So it's just continuing to expand while harassing. This is some great play. Looks like finally those last couple of turrets go down in the middle of the map. And is this grave robber going to go down to this rover? Not quite. Looks like PTAC threw a couple of D-guns off there. I didn't quite catch that. I think a couple of those finally cleaned up those light tanks in the back line here. And looks like Xerxes just has these couple rovers and medium tanks here. So looks like he's finally regrouping his forces here in the center. And could be looking to consolidate his forces for another attack. Meanwhile, PTAC's grave robber is doing his best, trying to reclaim this mass sitting on his side of the board. And finally, some more of these LLTs are going down. So PTAC's commander is a little bit isolated here down in the south part of the map. He just has 1 LLT guarding him, no radar coverage, so he's in the dark a little bit about his opponent's movements here. You can take a look back at the player views here. Still have 1 rover in the back line getting work done. This is some great harassment so far. PTAC still struggling to expand to this right side of the map, but he's got a lot of mass on his side of the map. He got 1 grave robber still continuing to reclaim. See how much mass is sitting here in the middle of the board. Just another 800 mass sitting right here. And Xerxes moved into the middle here, so he's got a radar up. He's got another LLT. He's continuing to expand with his commander here. And these 5 tanks are looking for damage again. They're moving down to this south middle part of the map. I'm sure he knows PTAC's commander is sitting down here. And he's going to try and put some pressure on his opponent. So PTAC scrambling, moving grunts into position here. He's got one pounder out. He's added on another factory down here, so these pounders can do great work against grouped up Tech 1 units here. Got a lot of wind turbines queued up. Should be adding on some metal generators here after not too long. And take a look at the statistics again. Looks like Xerxes sitting up about 300 mass, so not too much of a deficit here 10 minutes into the game. That's just 3 tanks, but we have a large Tech 1 army here. We have, let's see, what is that, 4 grunts? Sorry, excuse me, 5 stouts, 5 blitzes. Up against this grunt army, and this is going to be tough for PTAC to handle. These medium tanks do quite well against these grunts here. You really got to abuse that superior range. And looks like PTAC going to go for an engagement. No, pulls back. Doesn't need to engage his opponent if he's really not harassing his main base, but Xerxes kind of moving, catching PTAC out of position here. He's making a dive for the main base, perhaps. Just have one LLT protecting this, and yeah, finally PTAC responds here, trying to move into position, but Xerxes already attacking his main base here. How much damage is he going to get done? We see one LLT finally goes down. Luckily, these construction bots are protected by that high ground there. And a lot of these wind turbines end up going down, and still Xerxes not done getting damage here. He's circling around. He's got all his units clumped together. This makes trading very efficient. These grunts cannot contend with these medium tanks here, and they all end up going down, so looks like PTAC control K'd that LLT again. And just has 6 tanks left over, so that was a great trade there. Traded just a few tanks for like all this wind turbines, a couple solar collectors, metal extractors, LLTs. So great job. You can see on the opposite side of the map, PTAC's trying to counterattack with these pounders here. So he ends up getting a couple of mexes, pulls back with 2, trying to retain these units as best he can, and is cleaning up some of these LLTs and metal extractors in the middle of the map, but meanwhile, Xerxes looking for damage in the south part of the map. He knows the commander is down here. Can definitely outrange his commander with these medium tanks. So PTAC scrambling to get some LLTs put up. A couple of Janus shots go off, do huge damage, knocking PTAC down to about 40% health here. He steps forward, gets a lot of D-guns off, so great job of getting those Janus out of the mix here, and he's got a couple tanks left over. So low on health, 16% health, so I want to say that was a really good trade for PTAC, honestly. He took out a lot of the standing army of Xerxes here. He's trying to dive in with these rovers, and that's not going to do well against the grunts and commander here. I think that really kind of evened up the game there. I want to say Xerxes could have taken control of the game there if he had just abused the superior range that those units had over the commander, but kind of falters in his micro just a little bit. And a huge wind turbine field going up for Xerxes' commander. So he's adding on a lot of power here. Can take a look at these main bases. Still 1 factory production for Xerxes. He's sitting at about, 23 mass income per tick. So relatively even game despite all the back and forth harassment we've seen. And is this construction vehicle going to go down? Yeah, so great job trading a couple tanks for a construction vehicle. That's going to prevent PTAC from expanding onto this right side of the board. And this game is kind of slowed down a little bit, so let's take a look, see where the players are at. Looks like Xerxes has a 1700 mass advantage, so quite a bit of extra mass. Take a look at these player views for now. PTAC's got decent radar coverage. We see he's got about half the map covered with his radar. He's trying to rebuild his main base here. He's got a decent amount of build power. Several wind turbines. He was able to make some in the bottom of the side of the map and actually reclaim that land factory with his commander. So I kind of agree with that move. He wants to get this mass back up into his main base here. Wants to produce some more units. He's got 1200 mass in the bank though, so I'm wondering if he's kind of looking to do some kind of tech switch. He's got a couple pounders here in the middle of the board with some light tanks and is moving to this north side. He's trying to, defend his main base with his standing army here. And that's going to force Xerxes to retreat. So if PTAC's able to consolidate his forces around these pounders, he'd have a pretty good Tech 1 army to contend with. And meanwhile, Xerxes has gone ahead and added on a second factory here, pumping out maces. Stop producing out of his vehicle plant for now, so he's got one Centurion on the board. These slow-moving LLTs, I'd call them. Got a lot of HP though. So looks like we've got an engagement going on in the middle of the board. Blitz is stepping forward, trying to trade with these blunts here. Got one powder in the back. Really got to get this in the front of your line here. They do a lot of AoE damage versus these Tech 1 units that Xerxes is really stacking together. So they're so slow moving though. You can take a look at the movement speed on these. 41 movement speed compared to the 99 of the Blitz here. So less than half the movement speed of their Blitz counterpart. And P-Tech's doing a good job shaving off some units here on the south side, but steps forward into the grouped up tanks there and loses a lot of grunts for it. Still have these 2 pounders controlling the center of the board here, and there's a lot of mass here. And finally, P-Tech's got a couple grave robbers. He's trying to res this one LLT here, and then it issued a lot of reclaim commands there. You have 4 tanks left over. Not really going to be able to dive into this main base, which has got 4 LLTs defending it. So good job putting up those LLTs. Yeah, a little calm hit squad here. That's a good call out. These Centurions, I believe they have a little bit higher range than the Commander. Looks like 330 range. Commander's at 300, so. And what is the movement speed on these Centurions? So 45 movement speed compared to the Commander's 38. So they move a little quicker and have a slightly more range. So if you can get within range of the Commander, you can definitely snipe them with proper micro. So P-Tech's got to be careful with his Commander. Finally, Xerxes moved into the middle of the map with his own Commander. He abandoned the wind turbine forest he was trying to construct in the top left-hand corner of the map. And where is this game going here? We see this little hit squad is stepping forward. P-Tech is rightly retreating with his Commander here. You can't get caught out in the open with your Commander against units with superior range and movement speed, but he's moving down south. He wants to protect this vehicle plant again. There's a lot of LLTs here. Standing guard. He's trying to get some more up. And these medium tanks are doing a pretty decent job of trading with these bots here. Finally, we have some grunts moving back down. P-Tech scrambling to add on some more LLTs. I think this factory might end up going down here. Yeah, so he's a decent amount of mass for his to reclaim, but the production is gone. So really no use protecting this area anymore. Got a lot of maces here in the center of the board. Trying to deal with these LLTs. His Commander is a little bit vulnerable now. He's got a nice arc surrounding it. P-Tech's moving back behind these LLTs. It's just a lot of bots here sitting in the middle. Finally, we have some grunts moving into position. Some of these leftover blitzes that were res by the grave robbers here. And P-Tech's Commander is retreating from this position, so sensing the danger he's in, he's giving up this position here. For now, he's trying to get some reinforcements in. We have 3,000 mass almost sitting here in the middle of the board. And all his grave robbers just ended up going down to these blitzes, so he's gonna have to rely on his Commander to reclaim this area here. Don't see any additional engineers. He's trying to put up some LLTs. He's got a nice radar here. It's gonna give his units the ability to fire into the fog of war. And Xerxes sharking around the main base here, so he's gonna be able to take out some of these construction bots. He's going to take out some of these wind turbines and is moving down south, so really not capitalizing on that kind of standing army advantage he had. Meanwhile, P-Tech's Commander sitting in a vulnerable space again. We have so many blitzes. This game is so tense right now. P-Tech's holding on, though. He's got a big reclaim field here for himself, so he ends up cloaking his Commander, sitting here. He's got the energy to spare, though, so that's the one saving grace here. Constructing all these extra wind turbines earlier in the game is you can cloak your Commander if the need arises. So he's continuing to add on LLTs. He really needs to get a grave robber down here. We see a couple more making their way out onto the battlefield. But the trouble is he's got to move past these units here. Finally abusing this terrain for now. Is he going to be able to get these grave robbers past these blitzes? One goes down. Gets one out. Slips it past those units here. So this is going to give him the metal he needs. We see he's kind of stalling on mass for now. Xerxes looking for the kill. He's got a big standing army. PTAC's moving back. Fires one D-gun. Takes out 3 tanks for that one shot. So great job. Trying to get up additional LLTs here. And really is just camping this reclaim field as best he can. This is what's holding him on into the game here. Some great harassment here. You see more Janus making their way out into the battlefield. So gonna group up with this Blitz army here. See 16 blitzes, 5 Janus, and 1 mace. Taking so much damage. Those rockets, you really can't escape them if they end up firing. Some of these observers are calling out Xerxes needs to be reclaiming with his commander here in the center of the board. And looks like PTAC's going to finally give out that position. He senses the danger he was in there against this standing army and moves away with his commander here. So it's going to trigger Xerxes to step forward and finally clear out the rest of this position here. So takes out the remaining wind turbines and radar. A couple of standing LLTs and is retreating back with his commander. So how is PTAC going to get out into this game here? We see a lot of LLTs defending this top side of the board. And finally this commander has been found. So these slow-moving Janus are going to try and make their way to towards his commander. Not sure how long he is for the world. And yeah, PTAC moves into these moved into air. So he's got these shurikens out. He's going to be able to defend this army for now, or at least hold it back while these grunts kind of pick off these scragglers. And I want to say these blitzes can actually shoot those units, so they don't stay in the battlefield for long. It's got 2 factory production still here for PTAC. Kind of stalling on mass for now. We can take a look at the statistics. Xerxes sitting up about 8k mass for now. We have a huge Tech 1 army. 10 Janus, 15 maces, 10 blitzes, and looks like Xerxes moving into his own air factory, so producing a couple Falcons to defend his army against those shurikens, but I don't really think he needs to. He's got so many blitzes, and he's making a push for the main base here, so these blitzes stepping forward, taking the brunt of these shots. Just got 3 LLTs remaining here, and I don't think they can defend themselves against all these missiles from these Janus shots. I mean, why do you need to kill the commander when you can just level your opponent's main base? Still, this army is stepping forward, and I think that's it, yeah. PTAC taps out. Great job, GG. Well played, both guys, both players, putting on quite the show. That was a very tense game here in the south part of the board for a long time. So if y'all like these daily videos, if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel, like it, leave me a comment, let me know what you want to see more of, and I'll be sure to bring that to you in the future. So thanks for watching. See you in the next replay.